Hey, welcome back to the Silverback Show. Obviously, you guys know this is not a very sophisticated professional studio, and I've gotten some comments on that, but it's organic and it's real. In continuation on conscious parenting, I referenced something when I was watching Dr. Chevalier, somebody who, and I like to give credit where it comes from. When I was younger, I was very fortunate to have been blessed by a mentor. I met him when I was 11 and he was 24. And his father was dying and my father wasn't around, and his 5-year-old son had been killed accidentally. And so, who knows, fate brought us together, and he became like big brother mentor for me. And from 11 to 17, some of the things that he gave me have remained with me. And he turned me on to some very, very good literature. That's one thing he did. And Kahlil Gibran was one of those books that he gave me. And we don't know, we really don't know when we're looking back. I'm at a stage where I've been doing a lot of looking back in my life on influences, and I cannot ignore that the spirituality of Kahlil Gibran, the metaphysical, heart-centered approach to Kahlil Gibran, is something that I gravitated to at a very early age. And over the course of some of these videos, you'll learn about some of the influences in my life who I give a lot of credit to. But I also want to give credit to the person. When I was watching Dr. Chevalier being interviewed, someone had written in the comments, had quoted Kahlil's poem on children. And last time I said on love, which Kahlil Gibran writes a lot on love, but I want to read this whole poem to you. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. For even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. So, this, I cannot, like a lot of things, I cannot tell you that I agree with everything that he says, and we can break this down if you want. You guys can give me your comments and feedback, and we can go through this line by line, but it ties in with what Dr. Chevalier is talking about and what Eastern spiritual practice teaches us as human beings, that we are the containers. Of course, you know that I give credit to you women for being the real containers, the womb bearers. But a child comes through our women, and our women are deeply, deeply attached to these children, and that's the way nature has designed it. Because without that attachment, who would take care of them? Men would not do it of their own. It's just not in our capacity. And again, guys, I'm not criticizing those of you who really think that you're the greatest nurturers in the world. I will tell you again and again and again that I'm a very nurturing, caring man, and my wife passed away, and I had 4 children, 3, 8, 11, and 13 to take care of. But I just don't have the capacity of a woman, and I don't want to pretend it. So, but even still, our women have this attachment. Dr. Shivali was talking about her daughter at 14 years old having an awareness that women love differently than men. My wife, Svetlana, and I have had this conversation because I've asked her as a woman, and I've listened to her as a woman, how she sees herself as different from me in terms of love. And she just says it's deeper, and it's more layers, and it's more visceral, and it's more painful to lose it, to separate, to break up, to split up the pair bond. And this is something crucial that we have to protect. And it's also why the hierarchy in nature is correct, because women need our protection, and they need to lean on us, particularly because they are emotionally different. So going to Gibran, our children are not our children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. I believe they're both, but I also believe that it's more powerful that each seed that becomes our child is life's longing for itself to grow and become its own tree and flower and become its own individual living sentient being. And I also want to give all of you mothers and fathers and grandfathers and aunts and uncles and those who are involved with parenting and taking care of children and providing that support that all families need, that don't get too caught up in the power dynamics. It is designed the way it's designed. And as much as I believe you men, all of us men, need to become more conscious and conscientious, that doesn't mean that we're going to give up our role as leaders, and that doesn't mean that the role of leader is something that is not necessary for our child, because it is crucial that our children follow good leaders. Children learn to imitate, and children learn to model, and children learn to follow. Can't get around it. Yes, at 14 years old, our children are not interested in following us like they were when they were 3 or 5 or 7. But they still need us, and they still need us to reflect good leadership, and they still need to know that they can come back and gain our support and follow our lead. My mother was 87 when she passed away, and she was my hero. And she is somebody that I would like to model myself after as I become more conscious. And there's all kinds of cycles and circles that we go through, all kinds of revolutions. But as much as Gibran was talking about the magic of childhood, and as much as Shefali is talking about the magic of childhood. And as much as Joseph Chilton Pierce is talking about the magical childhood, and as much as there's a spiritual awareness that we as fathers and mothers need to bow down to this sacred gift of life that has come into our hands, I think it's folly if we try to share with our children that there's anything equal in our roles. And I think it's folly to think that we need to follow the child, because that's just not the way nature is designed. And it's the same folly as believing that men and women are equal and we should treat them as such. When I talk about men as being born to be leaders, it's because I truly believe that in our nature we're born to be leaders, and women are born in their nature to be mothers. And the precise emotional content of the 14-year-old who needs to be taught that she loves differently than these males who will want to pretend they love her or show her that they love her so they can have sex, precisely because of that difference in emotional makeup. It's the same emotional makeup that makes the pair bond that nature has evolved over so long something of deep respect. And that pair bond goes into that child, and that child goes and looks up and falls in love with the mother and adores the mother and worships the mother in a way that is just sacred. And then from that mother-child pair bonding that takes place, the child then looks up to the father, and if the father is being a good role model, that child will continue to have some of the best environment for, if it's a female, finding a father who was like her father, who was there to create that environment. And if it's a male, to rise to the leadership position of the father in the family. But it will create great confusion if we let our children believe that they are in any way our equals. Sit on that one for a little while. Equality is not what we're after. Okay? More later, guys. I gotta run.